do you want to be in there?
I always want to be in there. I always want to be in there, but I breathe this. We talking about waking up to something and being in the NFL and coming out running out to 70,000 people, 80,000 people with millions of people watching. This gives me that same feeling. Fortunate enough to be around these athletes because everybody work hard, and I want them to get after it. Maybe I might walk in there in the locker room and throw out some extra bonus money for knockouts because I want to get this thing going.
Hey guys, welcome on into Drinks with Binks. I'm Julie Stewart-Binks, and I'm very excited to bring you a special episode tonight as we welcome Lights Out Extreme Fighting LXF6 coming to you live on Fubo Sports Network at 10 p.m. Eastern, and it is going to be an extremely exciting night because there is a triple main event as well as 3 titles up for grabs. And so who else better to help us break this down and to get us excited for what will be a historic night on Fubo Sports Network? None other than co-founder of Lights Out Extreme Fighting, former NFL 3-time Pro Bowl linebacker, as well as the original Lights Out himself, Shawne Merriman. Shawne, thanks so much for being with us here, and congratulations on joining the Fubo Sports Network family.
Appreciate it.
Well, we have an exciting night coming up here on Fubo Sports Network. We have LXF6. What are you most excited about what we are about to see? I'm
looking forward to the Albert Morales fight. That fight is going to be it's going to be huge. It won't, in my opinion, it won't go long, but. If you look up and down this entire card, it's filled with a bunch of talent, guys that's been doing this for a long time. A lot of up and coming talent, and this is probably our best card that we've had since the existence of Lights Out. A lot of these guys will have many opportunities after this fight to do a lot of things.
Right, and you mentioned your main event, Albert Morales taking on Victor Henry, and we will get into that in a moment as he is looking to defend his bantamweight title. But for people that are watching Lights Out Extreme Fighting for the first time ever, what are you hoping that they get out of this?
Well, first and foremost, I've always been a big advocate of watching guys grow, right? We give a bunch of these fighters opportunities to really start their career, and hopefully that they want to stay with us after a certain period of time. But these guys come out swinging. They come out banging right away. They understand the platform and the eyeballs that they're given. And since I'm fortunate enough to go and train with a lot of these guys over a certain period of time, I'm like, you can't be an owner of a league and not get a chance to go and squabble sometime with them. I get a chance to see them through the course and period, working out in the gym. John Paul Bosnoyan, he's going to be an up and coming guy. He's a guy that's trained with Conor McGregor. I'm really interested to watch him. I think he's undefeated amateur. I think he's 3-1 or something like that as a pro. But I've watched this guy train, and he's going to be a star. So giving these guys an opportunity to fight with Lights Out Extreme Fighting and watch where their career goes after this is going to be amazing.
Definitely, and they all have unique stories and how they've gotten to this point and just some of the adversity that they faced, and watching on your channel with Devon Brock speaking about some of the hurdles he's gone through personally and professionally to get to this point. And I think a lot of people can relate to that and see that these aren't just, sort of stars fighting in the octagon. These are real people that have real stories, and certainly you would know them very well, as you just mentioned.
Yeah, and talking about Devon, he was a guy that was, he had an option, right? He was going to fight, or he's going to go back to the streets and get involved in his surroundings. And so when you look at opportunities that's given so guys don't go back to live that lifestyle again, and they find a way out to do what they're doing now. And I always say this, we're in the whoop-ass business, right? So, these guys, they're either going to go back to the streets or go do something else or do what they love to do. And if you look at how this card is built, there's not one fight on this card that you can turn away from the TV. Every single fight on this card we have is going to be a barn burner.
Right, we have so many that we're excited to watch, including the main event. We circle back to Albert Morales taking on Victor Henry. We know that Morales is trying to defend his bantamweight title, and that Henry is, of course, the #1 contender to try to take over that. They know each other well. They've trained together before. What do you expect from these two when they face off?
Well, first off, Albert is our current champ. And I've watched him train over there at Black House for a long time, and he just gets after it. Even all the way through the pandemic, this guy, he just never stopped training. He never stops training. I don't think I've ever saw Albert Morales out of shape or not in fight shape, ready to go. And when you talk about Henry, he's probably one of the best known prospects that hasn't, made it the major platform yet. And I don't see how this fight goes all the way. I just don't see it. They know each other well. They have, liking towards each other, but they also know that they're going to try to knock each other's heads off, as soon as that bell ring. And they both have a similar respect for each other. But I don't see that fight. I mean, these guys are going to, from what I'm told by talking to them, these guys, they're going to come out swinging like immediately. This fight's going to be a big one.
So what is it then about Morales when you see him and you're around him and you watch him train and you watch him fight that gives him the ultimate edge over Henry in this fight?
He's very he's a perfectionist, and some days when I get a chance to go and watch him train, he's never at a point where he stopped learning. He teaches these classes sometime, and he might got a coach over there, and he's nonstop wanting to learn something better. And he just has this go button, or he just loves to go. And with Henry, he I believe his record's like 20-5, right? He's like one of these guys that's been around for a long time, have so much experience, but just hasn't hit that main stage just yet. And to have it done, Saturday night on Fubo Sports, like the guys, that everybody on this card, they understand how big this fight is. Like every single one of them. And I get the opportunity to, talk to everybody about their process, their training camps, and everybody understand how big this card is for their career.
Right, and there's a number of other fights that will be happening. 2 other co-main events that we will get into after this quick break here on Drinks with Binks, featuring Shawne Merriman. Don't go anywhere. This is you getting ready for LXF6.
My name is Motown, Moses Murrietta. I fight out of Subfighter, Laguna Hills, and the Ruka Sport Gym, and I'm from Fontana, California. I've been training mixed martial arts for 12 years now. My coach and some teammates gave me the nickname a while ago. They call me Motown. I used to listen to a lot of old school music, and a lot of the music I would listen to were produced by the music label Motown. My home gym was Adrenaline in San Bernardino. I started training over there in 2009. They had these fight team tryouts, which if you made the team, you got a free tuition to train. So out of like 80 something people that came out and tried out that day, they put us through the grinder. They only picked like 8 people from the tryout, so I was one of them. So I've been training ever since. The way I fight is if I just stay true to my pressure and just the relentlessness of it. As long as I stay true to that idea, that I know I could break down pretty much anybody. The fans are gonna see the best version of myself, ready to perform, staying disciplined to my game plan and sticking to my tactics. Fighting for the LXF title is a great opportunity for me. I win my last fight, I'm back in the winning column, and then all of a sudden I get this great opportunity at the belt. It means a lot to me. I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna perform. My prediction for this fight is I'm gonna get a knockout TKO victory. I've never had any easy fights, and I've always had like self-belief in myself that I could beat anybody that's in front of me. So taking these hard fights is it's just something that I got to do, you know, to prove to myself that I can make it happen. I've never turned down an opponent before.
Hey guys, welcome back into Drinks with Binks. I'm Julie Stewart-Binks, joined by co-founder of Lights Out Xtreme Fighting, Shawne Merriman, who's helping us get ready for an exciting fight night for LXF6. And we talked about the main event before the break, but now let's get to the first co-main event for the middleweight title between Moses Motown Murrietta and Ozzy Diaz. Motown Murrietta said that he thinks he's going to win by TKO. What do you expect to go down here?
It's going to be another one. You know, I talked about earlier that there's not one fight in this card. It is literally not one fight in this card where you're like, okay, there's no clear-cut winner. You know, it's evenly matched across the board. Even with some of the guys with experience, you have, you know, guys coming up like Motown. You know, he wants to duke it out. He doesn't want this fight to happen on the ground. He wanted to go out and make a statement, and he said several times, he said, I want this to be a stoppage. You know, he wants to stand up and bang. So, you know, if he says that, I'm going to take his word for it.
Okay, so then on the flip side, what does Ozzy Diaz bring to a fight like this that would maybe give someone like Motown some difficulty?
Just, you know, I look at Diaz, he's going to, you know, look to capitalize off of Moses' mistakes, maybe trying to bang a little bit too early. I mean, if you go into the fight and Motown's already, you know, Moses already made it public that he wants to TKO, he wants to slug it out. So maybe, you know, Diaz going to have to go look at this fight and look and see if he can capitalize off of his mistakes. Maybe getting too happy early and want to bang it out and throw a lot of punches. You know, maybe take him to the ground and get away from Moses' stand-up game. You know, Moses' stand-up game, he's a striker, and he wants to get after it. And so if I'm Diaz, you know that's the case, you know, make him work a little bit. You know, get him on the ground, things like that. I try not to give away too much because, you know, maybe that is his game plan.
Yeah,
but,
right.
you know, you know that Moses wants to come out and he wants this to be an early stoppage.
And so then we also have the other co-main event in the lightweight category for the title. Devon taking on Jean-Paul Bosnoyan. And for this fight in particular, you know, Brock likes to wear guys down, but then Bosnoyan's a big finisher. What do you expect between these two? This
is another one. You know, Brock is he was I believe a boxer first. He's another stand-up guy. He's gotten better on his last couple of fights that I watched. He's gotten better on the ground. And last fight that he had with us, he was just jabbing away. He just kept everything basic. Sometimes the basic wins. He, you know, sticking with his jab, getting in and out of punches, and, you know, not hanging in there, keeping his distance. But the problem is, you know, with Jean-Paul Bosnoyan, he, you know, first of all, his dad is a legend. He's been around. His dad's been around forever, a legendary trainer. And he's also trained a lot with Conor McGregor. So he's been in there with top-notch talent. You know, he had a fight, you know, I guess probably right before the pandemic, and he lost against someone who ended up going to the UFC, and a guy that ended up going to the UFC. And I was like, man, because that was my first time seeing him in person and how skilled he was, just his stand-up, his ground. And he just let off the gas just a little bit and got caught. And I said, man, this is, you know, I talked to him after the fight. And I said, you know, that wasn't supposed to happen. And he said, yeah, I know. So, you know, even though he's undefeated in his amateur fights, but he's made one mistake, but he's a star. I'm telling you right now, and I want everybody to hear this, that when Jean-Paul Bosnoyan, he's going to be a star in this sport. And I can't wait to watch him.
It'll be very exciting to see how he does tonight in LXF6 here on Fubo Sports Network at 10 p.m. And for you, Shawne, you know, you've been with this company, you've lived, breathed it, it's here now. What is it like for you on fight night? Take us through your routine.
Well, I get there early, right? So I'm there doing the weigh-ins, and obviously you're doing a bunch of media and stuff like that, but you feel the energy. I'm a big energy person. So when you got the weigh-ins and guys are 6 inches from each other's face, my hair is standing up on my arms and my back. I'm like, you know, I'm ready to get in there myself. But, you know, it's fun being around it because you know what these guys do and how they train, how hard the time and effort they put in to get to where they are, and they get to display that Saturday night on Fubo Sports.
Right. I mean, you're so involved with it. Like, whether it's we're going to trainings, you're going to this, you are in the octagon yourself. Like, how much do you feel when like each punch is thrown that like you are in there, and how much do you want to be in there?
I always want to be in there. I always want to be in there, but I breathe this. We talking about waking up to something and being in the NFL and coming out running out to 70,000 people, 80,000 people with millions of people watching. This gives me that same feeling, and being able to watch these guys train, watch these guys get ready to go and fight, because there's nothing like it. There's no sport in this country, and I come from. I always say that football is the greatest sport in the world, but when you're talking about fighting is the oldest,
right,
and the most respected sport, because it is a tough man and woman's game. It really is, and fortunate enough to be around these athletes because everybody work hard, and I want them to get after it. Maybe I might walk in there in the locker room and throw out some extra bonus money for knockouts, because I want to get this thing going.
I love that. I just love how passionate you are about it, and I love how involved you are with it, and I think that is why your league is succeeding so well, and it continues to just grow each and every week. And we have more to get to with LXF6 here on Fubo Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. This is Drinks with Binks with Shawne Merriman. Welcome back into Drinks with Binks. I'm Julie Stewart-Binks, joined by none other than co-founder of Lights Out Extreme Fighting, getting you set for LXF6 in Burbank, California, 10 p.m. Eastern on Fubo Sports Network. And Shawne, we know that you put a lot of work and effort into pulling off this league and getting it to the point where it is right now. But what would surprise MMA fans about what goes into preparing a fight of this nature?
I think honestly it's being a nervous wreck behind the scenes, because in the fight industry, like in this business, guys get hurt, right? Training camp stuff. So you just hope that this great card that you have, that everybody's coming to see, that everybody walks into the fight healthy. And fortunately, as of right now, everything is good for us. So a guy don't come in overweight, or you got to scratch a big fight. So I think the nervousness behind the scenes is probably the biggest thing that people don't get a chance to see. It's almost like, a guy, being in the NFL, you practice all week, and then, something happened with the game plan, and then you got to switch your whole game plan up because you're a star running back or wide receiver in the game. So, like, everything changes, right? So that's pretty much it. It's to having the nervousness going into fight week, that hopefully everything playing out well.
Right, and on the topic of NFL, I mean, you obviously spent your weekends as a player on the field, and now life is different. What would you say has helped from your NFL days that you use now in your new sphere?
Being able to handle pressure. I think, NFL is such a business that you have to perform every day. Like, you have to, when you come in, there's somebody behind you. Some guy from, Florida, Texas, Tech, or so. I mean, there's a somebody else right behind you that wants your position. So, like, for me, every day now, like, I approach every single day that I need to go and prepare for every single thing that I do, because there's somebody that want my position. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing that I take from the NFL and kind of coming from that and now to the MMA space. Like, the willingness to compete at every single thing that you're doing, I got that from being in the NFL. Like, I don't know if that's ever going to change.
Well, that's a huge asset to have as part of your skill set when now you're doing this. That, I mean, you're always on, really. Like, you're always thinking, working your whole life. It sounds as though it's like there's never a moment to take a step back, which is why you've been so successful. And I do, though, have noticed that, you still have a chance to watch football from your tweets. who's someone when you're watching football this year that maybe has jumped off the screen to you in that you think that they would be a good fighter that you would want? Who's someone that you're like, I want to approach them?
I'm saying Aaron Donald. Like, it's week in and week out, he's going at somebody. There's something going on. He's extra shoving. And he'll be great at the sport because he's short. He has a lot of leverage. He's explosive as hell. I would be interested. I think he walks around about 285 or around that. If he got down to about 265, I think that Aaron Donald could do some real damage. I really do. Like, I think he would be a hell of an MMA fighter. Khalil Mack, I think, would be a hell of an MMA fighter. These guys just have these attitudes, man. That they're really feisty. I think some of these guys would be really good in the cage.
Do you do any scouting, like in different sports, even just younger guys in college that might not make the NFL but have that kind of axe murderer streak in them for fighting?
All the time, and like subconsciously it happens because it's not like I'm just watching the sport, but I'll look at someone and I say, you know what, damn. Even Julie, honestly, back when I played, I would be on the sidelines when the defense is sitting on the bench, and I'm looking on the field, and I'll look at guys like, man, that dude, he probably can fight. Like, it would always cross my mind, and it's kind of crazy for me to end up in this business because it constantly crossed my mind a lot. And so I look at guys now, and they might be a guy from that went to Texas or Florida, and maybe come and only have a couple of years in NFL and looking for something else to do. So now I've have started the process of actively transitioning these guys from whatever sport that they played into MMA, into lights out extreme fighting. And I'm saying it now, and I always speak things into existence. Even I've already kind of started a process with some guys. In these next 12 months, you're going to have several former NFL, NHL, rugby, and being a hockey fan, some of these guys can go, right? I mean, some of these guys can really duke it out. So who wouldn't see like their two favorite centers from each team, or forwards or whatever? Like, who wouldn't want to see them fight? I would. I mean, I think about it all the time, but who would want to see them get into an MMA cage?
Really exciting to see what is coming up with Lights Out Extreme Fighting, including, of course, LXF6 coming up soon here on Fubo Sports Network, 10 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it. We'll have more for you after the break. Don't go anywhere. This is Drinks with Binks. Subscribe to the Fubo Sports YouTube page for clips and full episodes. Follow us at Fubo Sports on all social media channels. Also available in podcast form wherever you find your favorite pods. Hey guys, we've had an awesome time drinking and banking here with Shawne Merriman as we get set for LXF6 coming up at 10 p.m. Eastern on Fubo Sports Network. And Shawne, what do you want to let everyone know heading into this big night of fights here on Fubo Sports Network?
Yeah, this is going to be exciting. You have these fight weeks, but this one's a little bit different. You have 3 title fights on here, and these names are going to be stars in the sport. So anybody that, don't wait to see the title fights, this entire card, these guys are going to scrap. I've been hearing it from them back and forth, looking at each other, screenshots, DMs. There's some real drama. There's some real smoke about to happen here. Saturday night, Burbank Marriott, live on Fubo Sports.
Awesome. Cannot wait to see what goes down in the Octagon here tonight on Fubo Sports Network. And guys, you know where you can find us and all of our other interviews and content, including how we sat down with Shawne Merriman earlier this year, talked about a lot of different things on YouTube at Fubo Sports. And until next time, cheers to LXF6 and bottoms up, bitches.